This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Hey, welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are your hosts. You can call me Truck. You can find me on Twitter at fantasy_trucker. To my left is at Shane O'Mac. You can find him at smccormick_ff. And to his left, all the way on the other side, is Kulz at Kulz_sports on Twitter. Follow the show while you're at it. Support the show at Fantasy Roadshow on Twitter. Also, we have a Substack. Check out thefantasyroadshow.substack.com for all of our written articles. As always, this episode is brought to you by Rule 1 Proteins. Look over Shane's shoulder and you'll see Rule 1 Proteins right there. Visit www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code ROADIES40 at checkout for 40% off. That is ROADIES40 for 40% off. Boys, how we doing today?
Doing well. How you doing? Where you at?
I am out in Grand Rapids, Michigan in the truck still, doing my thing out here. I pick up a load and head to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to end the week and then back home. Thank the Lord.
Love it.
Shane, what are you up to?
Not much. Reeling off a horrible Monday night game with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Dipped under 500 in my only league. That I'm under 500 in that league, so that was a rough one for me.
Yeah. I still think my fantasy teams are doing pretty good. I think at the worst, I'm at 500 right in the middle of the pack. So I need a couple good weeks here, and hopefully this red light, green light segment that we're doing today kind of helps me propel some victories here. Right, Kulz? What do you got going on? How's your teams doing?
Yeah, I went 10-1 last week. My only loss being Daniel Jones getting injured and having Joshua Dobbs on the bench in a super flex league. Can't really forecast that happening, but
no, yeah, that was tough.
It was one of the leagues where I actually share the team with you, so you know this, but it's one of those league medium leagues, and we still hit the median. So technically, I was 10.5-1. So really good week fantasy wise, in a very good spot. Biggest league I'm dominating and get A-Chain and Kyron Williams, A-Chain and Kyron Williams back the next 2 weeks. So
yeah,
in a very, very good spot right now. Happy about it.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait till we get these pieces back on the offensive side of the ball. We talked about it earlier. David Montgomery, James Conner, Kyron Williams, Devon Achane, Lil Herbie,
James Conner, Kyler Murray. I think Chase is going to be banged up. I have him in a lot of leagues. I think he's going to be out this week, which sucks, but I'd rather have him healthy than not. So, it'll be a good week. It's going to be an interesting week with quite a few buys. Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, Eagles all on bye. Those are obviously some pretty big names or big team offenses in fantasy. But
you got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Tua. A lot of people are going to be looking for quarterbacks this week to start. Some streaming options and some major pieces offensively that are going to be out this week.
So that'll be interesting, but we'll see what happens. I forgot what else I was going to say, but anyways.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys got anything else, we should jump right into. Well, hey, how about the quick news? I haven't seen a lot of news come up in the last day or two, but Carson Wentz is signed to the Los Angeles Rams. Shane, do you think this is more just a backup option because Rippon sucks, or is the Stafford injury a little worse than we originally thought?
I think there's concern he may be not ready to play after the bye 1 week, and I think they're still in the wild card hunt. So even just one game makes a difference to them, I think. So
yeah,
I think they may get concerned with that first immediate week after the bye.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not looking too much into this. Even if Carson Wentz gets the start this week, I'm not too worried about it. And I still have faith that Stafford's coming back rather quickly. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, other than that, we can jump right into it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, Kulz, why don't you start us off with your red light quarterbacks this week in week 10?
Let's start with Shane, actually.
Okay. All right, Shane, kick us off. What do you got, buddy?
So my first red light is going to be Trevor Lawrence against the Niners. There's going to be some folks that are going to think they have to start him because of the bye week situation going on with some of the quarterbacks you mentioned earlier. But this 49ers defense is tough. They allow the third fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. And, Lawrence just has not been very great. He hasn't thrown for more than 300 yards. And there's only one game he eclipsed that mark. So I think this is a low yardage output for him. So the example I would bring up is in one of my leagues, in the Superflex leagues, I'm going to start like a Baker Mayfield over a Trevor Lawrence this week.
Yeah, I love that. I love the Baker play this week. And, Trevor gives me a lot of pause going against the Niners. I get that.
Yeah, I like that as well. I that's an interesting game for me because you see the +3 at home with the Jaguars, and like that should be like home dog. That should be the play probably, but then you look at the Niners who are coming off of 3 straight losses. They just have to like show up. It's going to be an interesting game. This over-under's at 45.5, which like I always look to get a feel for how like Vegas is looking at the scoring to go how the scoring's gonna play out. And 46 is, that's a pretty healthy number. So they do think the offenses will be scoring, which I would have probably leaned towards a less scoring game there. I don't know. It's that game kind of confuses me. I can see it going either way, but I don't know. That's all I have to really say there.
Yeah, no, I get that. That'll be a good game this weekend, I think. The San Francisco offense, they're getting Deebo Samuel back. Trent Williams is still out. We'll see how they play out, but that Jaguars team's been playing good lately. So
I mean,
games.
Deebo's big for the offense, but Trent Williams, I think, is the bigger story for not only like really just buying Purdy time. Like we've kind of seen what he's looked like when he's doesn't have that. I think they're calling him like an alien surrounding him. In Trent Williams, I heard one of the players say like the dynamic is a little bit different from getting hyped before the game and running out of the tunnel, and just how much confidence they have when fucking big ass Trent Williams is leading the way. So I don't know. He's to me like the big missing piece there. Obviously, getting Deebo back and having him just getting the ball in his hands like early in space. But
I saw a lot of people highlighting Brock Purdy's games with Deebo and without Deebo and highlighting his recent struggles. But I think you should sub that name out for Trent Williams. You know what I mean?
Well,
with Trent Williams and without.
To see, there's just been more. It's just a bigger sample size without Deebo, so that's why it's easy. But I mean, without Trent Williams, they're 0-3 just right off the bat. But so that'll be interesting. I don't know. I see both sides. Niners are probably too good to lose 4 straight, and Jags probably due for a loss. But home 3 points. That's a big number to be at home. But anyways. My first red light quarterback is Josh Dobbs, coming off that great story. I just think Saints defense, it's at home, but Saints defense with a week to prepare. There's only so much of the offense that Dobbs can learn. He's really like not a huge pocket passer per se. Like that wasn't a strength. Wasn't a strength for the Cardinals. He really gets things going with his legs. So if you're the Saints, whether you spy him or just kind of contain him to stay in the pocket and beat you with his arm, your defense is good enough to, cause some turnovers. And I think the Saints win this game. I just think stylistically it matches up really well for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Saints win the game, and Dobbs, he's going to find a lot of production on the ground with his legs, but I don't know if that'll get you to a happy starting him in your lineup. But Shane, what do you think?
He's going to need to find a lot of production, whether he does or not.
Yeah.
But I think that'll definitely be like a focus for a really good defense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I see a top 10 performance like he had last week and he's had earlier in the year against this defense.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He's played them already, right? With the Arizona.
No, I don't. No, they haven't played the Saints.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh, okay. My mistake then. All right. Well, my red light quarterback this week, you saw on the graphic, it's Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, if you've been holding on to him through his injury and you played him last week, yeah, you were decently happy. He scored enough points to be that fringe quarterback one, like I think almost 20 points. But this week going against the Baltimore Ravens, you just don't want any quarterback going against the Ravens, and Deshaun Watson is not an exception to that rule. So I think Deshaun has a terrible game this week. I think Baltimore wins pretty handsomely, and Baltimore's defense is one of the best right now. So their team's one of the best right now. So I'm avoiding Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, even in his great game last week, one of those touchdowns was very fluky, ball. It's a deflection ball that somehow goes towards the end zone, not straight up in the air to Cooper. So, yeah, I don't see a lot of points scored for the Browns this week.
No, neither do I. Kulz, what else you got?
I don't have anything else at the moment.
Okay. Well, then I'll read off the last couple I have. I have a duo here. One of them is Kyler Murray coming off this injury. If he does play against Atlanta, Atlanta's defense has been pretty good for quarterbacks, and I think they're ranked 26th against fantasy quarterbacks right now. So it's somewhat of a positive matchup, but I just don't trust Kyler Murray coming off this injury and playing well right off the bat. I would not be trusting him in my lineups. There's not much analysis other than that. And then Jordan Love going against Pittsburgh. It's in Pittsburgh. Jordan Love has not been playing well. I mean, yes, they got Aaron Jones back, which sparked something in this offense last week for them to score a touchdown in the first half. But again, I don't trust Jordan Love to be in a fantasy lineup along with Kyler Murray. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I like the Kyler call because I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, listen, the defense he's playing, they just allowed Dobbs, who'd only been there 3 days, to come in and put up a QB, 5 performance. But a lot of that was on the ground. And there's no way Kyler Murray in his first game back is rushing for 50 yards and rushing touchdowns like Dobbs did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a weird week for me because, to me, those are I was going to say Love as well. To me, those are just no brainers. However, you're probably going to have to, if you have a Mahomes, Tua, and Hurts, you may not even have a backup quarterback in your roster, rostered, because you only need them for this week. And then there's been so much injury and just so much fluctuation between, the Giants have already gone through 3 quarterbacks. You might not have a lot to choose out there. So these are pretty relevant people to talk about, but Love hasn't been good for a while now. He's going to play Pittsburgh with one of the best defenses in the league. That was going to be my other red light for sure. And on a normal, last week, you're probably not even considering Love, right? Just because how things have been going. But this week, you probably have to put him in consideration there. So, it's definitely a little bit deeper of a week. Kyler, I don't know that I'm going to be playing Kyler at all this year. We'll see how his legs look, but I can't imagine coming off that injury in a season where you're 1-8. You're going to be, putting yourself out there with those legs. And just in general, if he wants to have a longer career, he's going to have to start sliding, getting out of bounds. I don't know. I'm worried about what Kyler looks like the rest of this year.
Yeah, definitely. Shane, what else you got for your red light quarterbacks?
So my other quarterback to avoid this week is Russell Wilson, traveling to Buffalo. And I think just a couple of things, Bills, they allow the second fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, but just more than any stats, like the Bills coming back home off of a loss to Cincinnati, they tend to smash in these type of spots.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a huge bounce back, double-digit win. That's a big win. And Wilson kind of just really just gets shut down. And that Denver offense doesn't put up hardly any points.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that as well. I would be looking to avoid Russell Wilson this week. All right, well, I think that's the red light quarterbacks. You good over there, Kulz? We'll jump on to green lights.
Yep.
Nope.
All right, cool. So my green light quarterback of the week, quarterbacks, one of them is Dak Prescott, quarterbacking against the New York Giants. Dak played really good football last week against the Eagles. I think he continues that success against the Giants. I think they get a win here, and Dak has a really good game. The Giants have been, their defense have been playing better as of lately, but still throughout the season, they're still in the bottom 10 against the pass. And I think Dak has a good game. I don't know, Shane, what do you think about Dak Prescott this week?
Yeah, I think it's a good spot for him. What's amazing is, so he's had 2 really good weeks of production. Chargers before last week, and then Philly this week. And it's just a 2-man receiving show. He's getting all the production from. It's CeeDee Lamb and then Ferguson. I mean, you're not seeing hardly anything go anyplace else. But he's putting up plenty of numbers. I mean, I think he's been a top 7 QB the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure just about.
Yeah, as you mentioned in past episodes, it's because I've been motivating him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have Dak and CD. I've had them on my list the last 2 weeks, and I'll continue to put them on as long as they're playing a completely defeated team with a 16-point spread at home in Jerry's world.
Tommy DeVito is the starting quarterback, too.
It's
they
just
just
one of
came
those
out and
spots.
said that.
It should probably win by 30. So that's the only thing is Dak. The only worry for Dak here is you're obviously starting him if you have him, but for him to not live up to a green light name is if they have one of these defensive touchdowns and Pollard gets going on the legs and then they're already up by 21, 28. And, then there may be 1 touchdown left for Dak to get. So that's the worry, of course, but they should dominate,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was worried about.
What I'm just looking at right now is the over-under is 38.5. Like, you're a 16-point favorite with a 38.5 point over-under line is kind of crazy. So
that does seem.
Yeah. But anyways. Dak. All right. I have Geno Smith, who obviously I don't like, but I do like playing against the Commanders defense. At home, Seahawks are a good team. I mean, Geno's going to hold them back to living up to their true potential of at least that offense of how many weapons they have. But I like Geno. I like JSN to continue to ascend as well. So I have them putting up some big numbers against this Commanders defense.
Yeah, I like that play as well. Geno Smith, he's just kind of hot and cold and throwing a lot of picks. But, I completely agree with you. I think this is a get-right game for him. And this Commanders defense is trash without those interior linemen that they traded with.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly like even with them, they're not that good, but that's just adding. It's just a team that is giving up, you know.
Yeah, fuel to the fire. Shane, what do you got?
I am going to go, which I haven't done this yet this year, but I'm going with road golf. So I'm going with Jared Goff taking on the Chargers. Chargers giving up fourth most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and that's an improvement because they just faced the inept Zach Wilson and the Jets. So they actually were much worse than that, like 2 or 3 spots worse than that before last week. So I think this is going to be a sneaky high-scoring game, I think, with the Chargers and the Lions. And I think it's one of those games where Goff puts up 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. The Chargers are giving up the most passing yards per game as well. It seems like such a good game for Goff to continue to break those rules that he has on those road home game splits. So yeah, I love that.
So I just looked up when you mentioned that Geno Smith has been hot cold this year. I just looked up his QB finishes. He's actually not even ever really been hot. He's only been in the top 10 one time QB
Really?
8, and that was week 2. He's never been above a top 15 quarterback. So yeah, as you said, with the picks being the concern, he's had 6 in the last 4 games. So I don't know. I mean, like, this is a week, as we mentioned, where you're missing, if you include Stafford, 4 quarterbacks who are certainly above him. So let's just put it this way. I think Geno Smith ends up being a top 10 quarterback this week. So in a down week, you could be, if this is one of those situations where if you can't start him at home against the Redskins, he's fucked. Because he has,
he belongs on the wire.
Yep.
Week 12 through 14, he has week 12 through 15, he has Niners, at Dallas, at Niners, and then Philly. So that's just a horrible. And then, I mean, you're probably not starting Geno in week 16 or 17. If you're still around, you're likely have a better quarterback. So yeah, I mean, this may be the last time you get to use Geno, period. So anyways.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, in terms of Goff, I was contemplating putting him on there as well. I ended up not having him on my list, but I do think against the Chargers, 48.5 is that over under right now. There's going to be points scored. Montgomery's going to be back in the mix. He's going to get his, I think. I like, Campbell's. That's the type of running back he likes. He likes to pound the ball. He likes to score rushing touchdowns, get physical. So I just think it's one of those games where Lions play well. Chargers is not really an away environment, so he has a lot of experience in SoFi in that playing in that field in LA. So I don't know. He's going to be comfortable. That offense should be moving pretty well. I'm interested in that game, man. Like, Chargers need a win bad. I just think that they're a lot different without Williams, without Palmer, because Quentin Johnston is just not good at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they swung and missed.
Shocking.
I think they swung and missed. His hands are bad. His route running's bad. If you double team Keenan and leave Johnston on a one-on-one, you're feeling pretty good. So yeah, give me the Lions who have a good defense. But anyways.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, my next, I have 2 quarterbacks here I wanted to highlight for Greenlight this week. Alongside my other one, I like Baker Mayfield as my streamer of the week. Shane, I know you mentioned it. I love Baker this week. Last week scored 23 points. The week before, 25 points. He's been throwing some decent yardage and multiple touchdowns, getting it done with his feet too. So I like Baker this week against Tennessee. I think he can put out a big game and help you get a big win if you're without those top tier quarterbacks that are on bye this week. So I like him, and then obviously I love C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud coming off of a historic game last week. I think he continues that success. Cincinnati is letting up the 10th most passing yards per game this year, so you can pass on them. And I think Cincinnati is a really good team right now, so they're going to score a lot of points, which in turn, the Texans are going to have to score points to stay in the game. So I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and I love C.J. Stroud this week to score you some points.
I agree with Baker for sure. This game, like Titans dog on the road, you always like dog Vrabel, but their defense, with the hole in their defense, is their secondary, and that's the Baker throwing to Evans and Godwin. That's their strength, so it's a little bit of a strength versus weakness type game. So that'll be interesting. Over under 38.5, which is very low. So that's a little concerning. But Baker's got 12 passing touchdowns on the year to 4 interceptions. So if he can get you, 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns, that's going to be a good day. Which I think is, looks pretty good there. Texans, Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win by double digits. I think they're playing so good right now. Texans are just not quite there yet to compete with teams like the Bengals. I'd be interested to see how they try to go toe to toe and score with them. Stroud continues to just do things that are amazing. 14 touchdowns on the year, 1 interception, 270 yards. It's just the Texans haven't done this to a team like the Bengals, who I think are probably one of the best in the AFC right now. They've rebounded pretty quickly. Burrow's all the way back. Without Chase, changes things a little bit, but we've seen them go receiver down and still play at a very high level. So I don't know. The one missing piece to the Bengals offense for me is figuring out that tight end position, which you've seen them go to Tanner Hudson. Do you hear that Collinsworth keep talking about how he's like ex-quarterback, just knows where the defense is going to be, a lot like Kelsey, just really beating up that narrative. Yeah. But once the Bengals...
Didn't Irv Smith score a touchdown last week too?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So once they figure that out, I mean, they may go with like a hybrid model where Hudson's like their... I don't even want to call him a Kelsey light because that's just like so disrespectful to Kelsey, but their possession type tight end, and then Irv, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's probably the one missing link for the Bengals offense. And once that's figured out, they're going to just start steamrolling teams like the Texans, but it'll be definitely a test for Stroud and that team, that young team. Like, we're 4-4. We're not necessarily like, we could win the division if we go on a run here. Can we do it with a rookie quarterback? Or this will be a good stress test for that for sure.
Yeah, my only concern with Stroud is I was just looking. So road games, he was QB 22, QB 12. That was his best road game. QB 17 and QB 23. So that's my only concern for him. And I think the Bengals are better defensively than people think about.
100%. Yeah. And then it's also like, it's just being a rookie. Like, you're not going to have it all figured out. You're going defensive coordinators and defenses. They are able to take a game film like that. God, I hate when that happens. I always get those videos that pop up the ads. Defenses, the NFL, like with a rookie quarterback, they're able to take that tape from last week, see what his strengths were, and scheme against that. And then Stroud's got to figure out on the fly, where to look to, where the holes in their scheme are going to be, and we've seen him get, have trouble with that. Like you're talking about at Panthers, they kind of shut him down. So that's, the worry is those games pop up, especially on the road. Bengals environment's tough, but that's how he grows, right? So.
Yeah, for me, it's their lack of run game. Is there, they have you have two running backs and Damian Pierce and Singletary, and you can't really get any production out of either one of them. So that gives me worry. But I love their weapons. He unlocked something in Noah Brown this week as the deep threat, getting Tank Dell back. You have Dalton Schultz stepping up. You still got Nico Collins. Like he has a ton of weapons on his offensive side of the ball. So I just like his opportunity this week to have a good fantasy day.
To me, those aren't like really great weapons, to be honest. Like it says more for me. It says more about Stroud and his ability than like Nico Collins. He's not a high level wide receiver one. Schultz has been productive, but again, I wouldn't put him in the top 5 of like talent tight ends. Tank Dell's certainly been, an amazing story, and his guy and who he's going to grow with and probably like have the best career with as of right now. But there's still like such a young offense with young pieces. And I don't know that Nico's going to ever really be a wide receiver one per se, but so to me, it just says more about Stroud and how amazing he's been able to really start his career. So I don't know. I guess I don't see those weapons as being like, damn, the Texans have weapons. You know what I mean? Like in a way that the Seahawks
I'm not calling them elite weapons. I'm just saying the way that they're producing with Stroud, he's found something in these guys that he can rely on and march down the field like he did last week. I think he can do not necessarily the same type of production against the Bengals defense. It's better, but still you have some sort of a rhythm going with these guys that is undeniable.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be a huge test at Bengals. Is going to be a huge test. So they've done it at. Well, no, that was in London, but they've done it against the Jags. They did it at home against the Steelers. So we'll see at Bengals. It's going to be a huge test. I'm excited to watch. That's probably my most excited to watch game in that 12 o'clock slate as we're looking at it.
Yeah, me too.
Browns, Ravens, like those are definitely two, divisional game, but in terms of like what, what we're going to learn from that Texans and Bengals game about those two teams, I think will be more. So,
yeah. Shane, what else you got? You got any other green light quarterbacks?
My other one was just on yours, so I was on Mayfield. So 3 straight top 11 finishes for him, and I don't think people even consider him as a option in 1 QB leagues, but that's a really nice high floor to have from your starting quarterback. So I think he goes 230, 250, and 2 touchdowns, which puts him as a top 10, top 12 at the worst quarterback.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka! You got Baker as well?
Yeah, give me Baker. As I mentioned earlier, the the weakness of the Titans defense is that secondary. So my only worry is that like the Bucs are just trash. So hopefully at home, they've got Otten going. It seems like they can move the ball. So
Rashad White's been playing better.
Chad's been good. So yeah, I mean, Titans are bad. Bucs are also bad. It's gonna hopefully just be a game that can score some points. So we're happy from a fantasy perspective.
Yep. All right. Well, then we can move on to red light running backs. I'll start. I got Chuba Hubbard for the Panthers taking on my Chicago Bears on Thursday night. I don't want any part of the Chuba Hubbard and this Panthers run game. Ever since he's taken over the ball, this backfield like 2 weeks ago, he's gotten the volume, but he hasn't been able to produce anything usable for fantasy lineups. And I don't think he can this week against a much better Chicago Bears defense, who is they've been stopping the run as of late. So I don't think Chuba Hubbard is going to have a good day at all.
Yeah, I like that. I think people look at if people look at the stats, they're going to say what they see Chicago. They allow the second most fantasy points to running backs, but when you look at it deeper, like they only give up 80 yards rushing a game. So where they struggle with receiving, giving up receptions and receiving yards to running backs, and that's not guaranteed to be Chuba in that game. I think Sanders last week had 5 catches for like 35 yards.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee he gets the third down receiving work in that game.
Yeah. It seemed like they were going to like hot hand, and that was sort of Sanders that game. So I agree. He got the work. This is going to be such a bad game. I'm excited. I'm excited to we're streaming this, right? Truck.
Absolutely.
This is gonna be such a fun game to stream because like I'm glad I'll be distracted with something other than just this game.
Yeah.
And it'll be extremely entertaining because Truck will be like, hyped to see Fields back, and it'll just be a fun stream for sure. So make sure you check that out. Let's pump that out today. Let's get a link and pump it out because a nice Thursday night football, 3 wins combined between both teams.
Come hang out with the road show.
Yeah, like just get fucking dirty with the road show.
Yeah, I'll be having some JMO and some beers.
You'll be home?
Yeah, I think so. I'm driving tonight to Milwaukee, and in between I'll be at home. So
let's get you fired up. Let's get you going, and
let's get some schooners going in you.
Some schooners.
Let's get some schooners. B Cork will be there, I'm sure. Maybe we'll get a Shane O'Mac appearance at some point.
Yeah,
that'll be
I was
fun.
just looking it up. Last week the Bears held Alvin Kamara to under 30 yards. The week prior to that, Eckler under 30 yards. The week prior to that, Josh Jacobs 35 yards.
Yep.
So they're letting up 80 yards per game rushing, but to the running back position, those star running backs aren't doing much against this Bears defense. So in conclusion, I don't like Chuba Hubbard.
Yep.
Cool.
What do you got, Kulz?
Let's go to Shane O'Mac.
Shane O'Mac. All right. Kick it over to Shane.
I'm doing a lot of kicking over to Shane.
All right. First one is I'm going with Saquon Barkley. I don't care if he gets 35 carries in this game. He's not going to go for more than like 80 yards max. So
okay.
I think there are some other guys that probably between the 3 of us that will get mentioned on Greenlight that you could start over Saquon Barkley. There's just no way. This defense is tough. They only give up 65 or 67 yards rushing a game. Hardly any rushing touchdowns per game. I think it's 3rd or 4th fewest fantasy points to running backs. I just don't see much of a game. I mean, they're coming off a game. I don't remember what the final stats were, but I know Swift didn't have a very good game against them last week, really rushing. And I think he was minimal even in the receiving game. So, and Barkley's coming off last 2 weeks, 52 carries. So it's a heavy workload also.
Yeah, definitely. It's tough not starting Barkley, man. You know what I mean? That's such a hard decision to make. But I get what you're saying. This offense is not going to be able to move the ball with Tommy DeVito. And I don't know. Kulz, what do you have to say? I know you love Saquon Barkley in general.
I love him. I still think he's one of the best talents at running back in the league. That's undeniable. Like if you watch football, but it's I was just going to bring up the point of like, what is the outlook for the rest of the season for Saquon with DeVito at quarterback? Like you can't give him the ball 38 times with not much. Like You just can't do that. You can't give your running back, your franchise running back in a dead season 40 touches. Like that's just like you just can't do that. That's like, whatever. I was going to make a horrible comparison to taking a luxury car on a road trip, a cross country road trip, and just like burning rubber. But yeah, so I don't know. Like I truly don't have that answer. I would like to take a look at like rest of season rankings and sit down for a few hours and like actually project where I would have him. Cause I just don't know what it looks like at this point. And
I feel so bad for him because he had those incentives to make that extra money this year, and he is not going to hit those incentives without Daniel Jones. So that's tough.
Well, I don't know what that storyline looks like for him. Like this team has to rebuild. They think they can rebuild quickly. They have some pieces on defense that we've seen. Oh, I thought you were getting honked at. I was about
no, I accidentally honked the horn. I'm in the driver's seat.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm concerned. Luckily, I only own him in like maybe one redraft league,
which is shocking because we were so high on him preseason.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It just that the pocket he was in was weird, but like CeeDee Lamb was a go-to over him, so that was usually available. But anyways, yeah, I'm worried. I really am. For red light running back, you've heard me say his name a million times. Alexander Madison.
Yep.
He's just been the fucking. He's survived everything. Like now you have Akers tearing his Achilles, and it's Madison's backfield. Like he's gotten all the puck luck, if you will, if you're a hockey fan. He's gotten all the puck luck going his way. Yeah, you can't get rid of him. He's just a cockroach. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's the Saints' game plan here is let's contain Dobbs on the ground and let's which is not a difficult thing to do. Let's keep Madison, keep an eye on Madison and not let him beat you on the ground. So I just think from a defensive scheme standpoint, that'll be what the Saints are looking towards. And the Vikings already struggle to run the ball anyways. So let's have Dobbs beat you with his arm and not let him get out of the pocket and, scramble. So I don't know. I just think this is going to be a game for the Vikings where they try to figure it out at home against a good defense. It'll be interesting to see, but give me Madison as well.
Yeah, they're the Minnesota Vikings they can't run the ball. They're averaging 75 yards per game, which is the third worst. Yeah. So I have him as well. Alexander Madison is on my red light list as well.
Yeah, play it.
Oh, I got you. Boom shakalaka!
There it is. We're all on the same page here. Alexander Madison is. We hate him this week.
Every week. I hate him every week.
But... every week. Yeah, that makes sense. But this week especially.
Hate's a strong word. Come on, Ryan.
Well, this is the love-hate segment. This is this is included in that red light, green light explanation. So, I think it's fitting. I hate him this week.
Dude,
hate is a strong word.
Say it with so much anger, though.
I hate him this week.
Hate Alexander Madison.
Yeah, no, exactly. I do. I'm not trusting him. The Vikings, I think, how many rushing touchdowns do they have on the year? I think last week Josh Dobbs scored the second team rushing touchdown on the season. So no bueno. And then Shane, why don't you you want to add anything else into that?
We covered it. Yeah. I mean, his three touchdowns are all like receiving ones, which is going to be hard to bank on. So yeah.
All right. Well, I have someone else that's pretty self-explanatory, but it's Jerome Ford going against Baltimore. I am fading this entire Browns offense, and Jerome Ford is not an exception to that. So, along with Kareem Hunt getting all the touchdowns and red zone looks, Jerome Ford is the lead back, but I don't think that matters much going against this Ravens spectacular defense.
Yep, yeah. I agree with that.
Guys on board?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like contemplating putting Josh Jacobs on my list.
Oh,
I think this is going to be a tough game. Tough game for the Raiders. I don't think AOC is a good quarterback, and
nope.
I don't think that the Jets defense just continues to show how good they are, and the Raiders, like, yeah, the AP is a great motivating coach. They got him fired up last week, but like, how long does that fire burn for?
1 week.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much a full fade on the entire Raiders team, which I had them last week in my super contest, anywhere I could get them. So Devonta is concerning. Like, Devonta Adams last week had to have been the week that he performed, and he just didn't. So I don't know. I'm a full fade on the Raiders, and I'll just put Jacobs on my red light list because of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Love it. Shane, what do you got?
So yeah, that's my two. Those were my two. I had Madison and Barkley.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. All right, well then let's jump to green light running backs, players that you should start this week instead of the ones that we just mentioned. I'll start it off. Aaron Jones is on the top of my list. He got 20 carries last week. The Packers found some production in their offense because of Aaron Jones. Going against Pittsburgh's defense, I still think Aaron Jones is going to be a startable asset, even though this Pittsburgh defense is really, really good. I think he's just going to get enough volume to have a productive day, and the Packers are going to lose. And the Steelers are going to win another one.
Yeah.
And they're just going to keep winning.
You really like playing with fire. You red lighted Jordan Love, and then you green lighted Aaron Jones. That is, I love it. That's extremely fucking bold. I love how you do that. That's definitely, so you're just game planning.
Bunch of screen dump off passes.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah. Jordan Love isn't gonna do much. He's gonna dump it off, and he's gonna have another game with anywhere from 17 to 20 carries, and he's probably gonna have the only touchdown on the game is gonna be Aaron Jones. So I'm comfortable starting Aaron Jones, but he's the only Packer that I'd be willing to put in my starting lineup this week. That's all.
Awesome. I hope so. I loved Aaron Jones. And I think we saw last week how important he is to this offense, this team. I wish he was healthy all year because I would have loved to seen it for the last.
Oh man.
Fucking
what would the Packers season look like right now if Aaron Jones was healthy the whole time? Like, I think they would be in a completely different position, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you go on a 4-game losing streak to the Lions, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings. Those are Raiders, and Broncos was lost by 4 and lost by 2, scored 17 and 13 points. So 10 points against the Vikings. And then you also had a loss at Falcons by 1, which was Arthur Smith did not deserve to win that game. It was so bad. It was such bad coaching.
He doesn't deserve to win any game.
I mean, he's just not good a coach, but it looks a lot different is the answer. They're 3-5 without him. Respectable.
Yep. All right, Shane, what do you got?
I'm going
since Kulz will probably kick it over to you anyway.
Yeah, let's kick it over to Shane O'Mac first.
Yeah, let's kick it over to Shane.
That's gonna be the new phrase. Let's kick it over.
I love it.
All right, so I mean, most people are probably gonna still be starting him, but I'm going Tony Pollard, and this is the game where he gets 100 yards. He breaks out. He's gonna have a top 10 running back finish. He goes for 100 yards. He's gonna get 1 or 2 touchdowns. This defense gives up over 110 yards a game. They give up, over 1.5 rushing touchdowns a game. I just think this is you're going to see go buy low on Tony Pollard because his next 3 weeks are really great matchups.
I'd love to hear that.
I will say hearing our resident Cowboy fan, Shane O'Mac, be this confident and happy, like just this confident for the Cowboys is making me a little bit more concerned. I feel the same way. It's just I'm not a Cowboys fan, so like something about like whenever the Cowboys fans get their hopes up and get confident, life comes at them fast historically. But I agree with you, Shane. This has got to be, one of those classic situations that's like if Pollard can't get it going against this team in this game, well, even more so than that, it's like the team understands how important Pollard is to the offense and having his playmaking ability that like they may even just force feed him in this game or put him in, focus on putting him in situations to give him that confidence and that swagger back. So yeah, I love that. I love Pollard here for sure.
Yeah, I have Pollard in a couple leagues, and I am itching for some good games from him. I need him to produce. So, Kulz, what do you got, or do you want to kick it over to me?
You know what? I'll kick it over to Shane here. Let's hear Shane's second one. That was a great one. Let's kick it over.
All right,
Shane, what do you got?
So now this one, I'm going with a guy who's consensus ranked RB30. So you might say that this is.
Oh, I got you.
You got it?
Shane O'Mac, shocker of the week.
I am done arguing about it. I'm done complaining about it. I am just going to now go to the side of the idiot. And Tyler Algier is going to be a top 20 running back, and he's going to out fantasy produce Bijan Robinson this week.
Holy shit.
I in no world should it happen. I have so many Bijan Robinson shares, but until they fire Arthur Smith, he's still going to run this clown show every week. Algiers had more carries, receptions, and TDs than Bijan on 2 out of the last 3. And this Cardinals defense allows almost 25 fantasy points per game to running backs. So I just think this is going to be a game that's going to be close the whole game. That means that Algier is going to get at least 50% of the carry. So he's going to get 15, 16 carries. And then that stupid clown of a coach is going to use him right down near the goal line again.
Yeah. It's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. Like, what was the latest just fuel that he gave us this week? It was like Bijan is basically saying he's really improving as a decoy.
Yeah, he's really good at drawing attention away.
Yeah, like we love having him on the field.
I missed that. He said what?
He literally was like, he's Bijan. We love having him on the field because he takes the attention, and we're a lot like
no.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my god.
It gets dumber and dumber as the season goes on.
Oh my god.
I saw a one of those like fake quotes from his, like, how like people like make those images that like have fake quotes.
Yeah.
I might need to start might need to unlock my like true trolling potential and start figuring out how to do that, because I read one today or the other day that was Arthur Smith's dad, and he calls him like, it's so cute that he calls him Artichoke, that Artichoke has a it's so cute that Artichoke has a side gig that he's trying, and like when this finally fails, he can come back and be a board of directors at FedEx.
So I'm going to show you, Kulz, I'm going to show you how to build those graphics on Canva, and you can just start pumping them out. That is gold.
Truck, here it is. It was Arthur Smith is saying Bijan is really starting to excel away from the ball. Sometimes his impact away from the ball really opens things up for us.
I can't believe this guy. I cannot believe him.
Just classic fucking billionaire's child who thinks he's smarter than everyone, God's gift, and like, dude, what?
Artichoke.
Get the ball to your best players in space. It's not fucking hard.
God.
So yeah, that's just
wonderful.
Infuriated me to see Tyler Algier on your green light. I I wrote down Bijan just like in hopes. I'm not gonna just go against you there because for the road show, for the roadies, I just don't. That was more hopeful than anything, but
that is funny.
You know, I like Kamara. I think that the Vikings is a team that you can go and put points on the board against. You saw him have a down game for Kamara last week, but they're trying to get any sense of relief in there. I know Kendre Miller's going to be down. Is there a timeline on his injury?
No, I just saw it was I think an ankle.
Ankle, yeah. So could be multiple week injury. They'll get Jamal Williams, who just honestly hasn't ever adapted well to that offense, but they're going to try to force him to get going. But I think this is a game they understand. It's going to be a winnable game for the Saints. I do have the Saints winning this game, and anytime they're going to have that game script of a close game, Kamara is going to be on the field and he's going to be getting the ball. They're just so much better with him. That being said, like the only concern is Taysom Hill continues to vulture touchdowns from him, which I think would be the smart thing for the Saints to do. Like their best offense, their best goal line offense is having Taysom Hill at quarterback. So if they keep moving forward with that development, that could take some touchdowns away from Kamara. But I think this is a game against a shitty defense that's 1-3 at home. That's trying to install a new quarterback against a good defense. Saints win, and Kamara eats pretty well.
Yeah, I love that. Kamara is one of the best running backs in the league, and I think that's on full display this week for sure. My other green light running backs, I have a couple here. One of them is Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots going against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are giving up the most rushing touchdowns on the season. They have given up 15 so far through 9 games. And I think Ramondre has a good chance of scoring a touchdown as he did last week. The Colts are also giving up the 10th most rushing yards per game and the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs. So I like Stevenson this week. And then also piggyback off that, I like Joe Mixon going against Houston. I think Joe Mixon has a good game. The Texans are giving up less than 100 rushing yards per game, but they're also giving up the 5th most rushing touchdowns. So I think Joe Mixon's been playing much better as of late, as is the Bengals offense as a whole. And especially if they don't have Jamar Chase, they're going to need Joe Mixon. They need a strong running game in this against Houston. So I like Joe Mixon and Ramondre Stevenson.
Yep. I like those calls too.
For sure. My last green light running back was Ken Walker. I think he needs to get going against the Commanders team that, obviously we talked about earlier, the Chase Young and Sweat getting traded off that team, and it just opens things up. Commanders to me are a team that you're going to be looking at as to let's see who they have right now in the playoffs, in the fantasy playoffs. 10, 11, 12. So they're playing Jets at home, or Jets will be at home against the Commanders. So like green light Jets. I'm going to love having Breece Hall on a bunch of my teams here late in playoff season. Rams, Rams and the Niners. So those 3 teams I think are going to be teams that you're going to want fantasy assets on, because Commanders are going to be giving up, 30 high 20-point games here at the end of the year. Oh God, they have Cowboys and Dolphins. So a lot of very good fantasy offenses against what I think is going to project to be one of the worst defenses here late in the season, which is just going to, snowball into Rivera getting fired, and hopefully Bieniemy getting that starting job, after this season. I think
I didn't even think about that. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, a Kulz conspiracy. Is that a?
You're gonna slide enemy right into that head coaching spot, huh? I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I think that's the move there. Like Rivera's just one of those old coaches, mentality coaches that are kind of getting phased out. In my mind, like Bieniemy could have stayed the OC for the Chiefs forever. He was just, as long as Andy Reid there, he's not going to be head coach. So him leaving for a less than ideal situation with a potential head coaching spot of coming available, that was his way of like, let me show my genius, which he has. Top 10 quarterback, how offenses looked great. And then, phasing out Rivera, he gets the head coaching spot. And honestly, you've seen that with the Chiefs. Their offense is not the same this year yet. Some of that is pieces. Some of that is missing his scheme and his genius. So, as we saw with Matt Nagy being the Bears head coach, he is not Bieniemy. Anyways, that's my thought there. So I like anyone right now against the Commanders, and I like Ken Walker to get the train back on the tracks.
Yeah, I love that. Another guy on my fantasy team that I need to have step up. He's been having a couple down weeks, so I love that. I love
just that. Trucks. Shane O'Mac and I actually had a separate secret meeting before this, and we just decided that we were going to make this an emotional support episode for you. And
I love it.
All of the players that you
guys went behind my back and was like, all right, he has Tony Pollard who hasn't been playing well. He has Kenneth Walker who hasn't been playing well. Let's greenlight these guys so that he's just in a great spot. Yeah, I love that. You guys are the best. Yeah, you guys are awesome.
That's what Week 10 Red Green is.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I can't wait to hear the wide receivers then. Let's jump to red light wide receivers. I'll go ahead and start it off. My top red light wide receivers, Davante Adams. This is no secret. I'm sure you guys might have the same with Davante Adams, but the Jets defense is top tier. They're giving up the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. They're top 5 against the pass in all categories, and Davante with AOC is not going to be performing well, as we've seen last week. I think this week is it could be even worse. So, Kulz, do you have Davante Adams on yours as well?
I sure do. Yeah, he's gonna get soused up all weekend.
Yep, covered in the sauce.
This is 36.5 over under. The primetime over, the primetime unders are 23-7 this year. I would be interested to see if that one hits as well.
It probably moves too. I would imagine it lowers.
Yeah.
And then before the game, it'll get hit with money to push it back up. But I think this will be a good, probably under spot. Zach Wilson, AOC, primetime. Yeah. Another great primetime game this week, boys. Shane, I like watching the Jets. They're so bad. They have stud pieces. They have Wilson and Hall who do make impressive plays, and then they have an incredible defense to watch. So exciting. So I actually don't mind watching the Jets.
Well, we could see if Saleh keeps that glorious beard groomed up nicely for another game.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That is awesome. Shane, what do you got for red light wide receivers?
So I have got Mr. Road Cooper, Amari Cooper. He's on the road, which is not a good thing for fantasy purposes. So this year he is on average the wide receiver 40 on road games. So they go to Baltimore. You already had Watson on your red list, so it's just carrying over from that. It's going to be Cooper. Is a sit for me. We just saw Baltimore really allowed hardly any fantasy production to a trio of good receivers in Seattle last week. They're just a really tough defense at home.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have no faith in Cooper this week, even though I do like Cooper. And if there's any wide receiver on that team that's going to perform well, it's him. But tough task against the Ravens. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I like it. I have the Packers wide receiving core as a whole. I don't know what that is.
I don't even. Is Christian Watson not playing this week? So just Romeo and Jaden then?
I don't even. Yeah, like I don't know if Watson plays miraculously like he has. I don't. I just don't. I'm gonna rest of season red light the Packers receiving.
Yeah.
Oh,
I even wonder, do you need to roster any Packers receivers?
Yeah, I don't.
I would leave him on the wire if I saw him there for sure.
Yeah, that's a very frustrating group. Now, will they, as we talked about, that offense goes through Aaron Jones and he's back. So, like, will we see flashes of that late in the season? Maybe, but as of right now, I don't see anything there. I'm off of this Packers receiving core, especially against Steelers at home.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, I'll go in with another guy. I got Zay Flowers from the Ravens. Another piece to this game. I don't like Zay Flowers this week. Last week, he was wide receiver 88, held to just one catch. The week prior to that, wide receiver 69, held to just 19 yards. He just hasn't been a focal piece to this offense. And frankly, they haven't really needed him to be. This Ravens team is on fire lately with the run game. They have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. Mark Andrews being the go-to target for Lamar. So I'm just staying away from Zay Flowers again this week. The last 2 weeks, they were better matchups than this week going against the Browns defense. So I just think you're going to see something in that same range for Zay Flowers. So his struggles continue, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
You like it. You like it a lot. Great. Shane, what do you got? What else you got?
So I'm going Calvin Ridley. So I think, maybe there might be managers out there that are encouraged. I think he had 15 PPR points before his bye week that he's back to being a play. But when I was looking at this matchup, I was astonished when I found this fact that the 49ers have not allowed a single touchdown to a wide receiver this year. That was
Really
kind of blew my mind. So I think – it's going to be a little bit tough against this 49ers defense. I mean, they added another pass rusher to rotate in with Chase Young now. And so to put more pressure on that offense. And then I don't know, I haven't heard for sure, but if Zay Jones is back, that's just another red zone option that Trevor Lawrence loves to look at. So Ridley's probably – maybe if you don't have any other options, he's a wide receiver 3 or flex, but I would try to find other options.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I have Ridley as well.
I do not. But no shakalaka drop. But Coles, what else you got, Coles?
That's who I had.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, then I have one other guy that I wanted to highlight for red light this week is George Pickens. For the Steelers, the Green Bay Packers are basically top 10 pass defense in almost all categories. Last week, he had a terrible game, 2 receptions, -1 yards. The week before, 1 catch, 22 yards, all while Deontay Johnson is averaging almost 90 yards a game. So George Pickens has expressed his frustration with this offense, and I don't think that changes this week going against the Green Bay Packers. And then he's got the Browns the week after, and then Cincinnati. So tough sledding for George Pickens moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked Pickens this week. I thought I was getting a little too cute to put him on my green light. That was going to be our classic.
That would have been very cute.
Ryan game. No, so it's because I think Jair's going to be on Deontay, and I think I don't know, just Pickens, do they just try to figure out a way to get him going? Because they need him happy. They just need offense to work. So that was my trying to get cute way of getting him going. I think he could have a decent game because of the Alexander shadow and then force feeding. He's just an emotional player. If you can get him on the right track, he could be a big part of the offense. So I don't know.
And I get what you're saying. I mean, he has the talent to at any point in time have 6 receptions for over 100 yards. That's the type of caliber wide receiver he is. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I just, as what we've seen lately, I don't have a lot of faith in him. So, but I get what you're saying.
Yep.
All right. Well, how about green light wide receivers, players we like this week over the ones we just mentioned? Shane, I'm going to kick it over to you. What do you got for green light wide receiver? What's your
No,
first one?
let me kick it over to Shane.
Oh,
Shane.
okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll kick it to you, Shane.
Okay. I am going first with the Jahan Dotson
Oh,
against the Seahawks. So I haven't heard. I think Curtis Samuels might be sitting again this week.
I hope so.
Yeah, I love the target volume he's getting. 18 targets in the last 2 weeks. He's had 2 top 10 finishes. The Seahawks allow the most fantasy points to wide receivers. I think it's just a matchup where Howell's probably throwing 50-plus times in this game, which should lead to some top 24 production for Dotson.
Yeah, I like that. I love the Dotson train that is getting rolling right now. So I love it. Multiple touchdowns in the last couple of weeks, and I hope that continues for Jahan Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kulz, what do you got going? Or you want me to go ahead?
I got JSN, CD Lamb. Talked about both of them already. I like the JSN breakout to continue to roll at home against a bad defense. So
yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. My green light wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins going against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has given up currently the second most passing yards per game behind the Chargers. So you're able to pass on them, not so much run on them. I think DeAndre Hopkins has a good game with Will Levis throwing him the ball. And then on top of that, it's Mike Evans. Same type of story with the Tennessee Titans. You can pass on him pretty heavily. And I think Mike Evans is going to be the main beneficiary of that Baker Mayfield streamer of the week. So I love Mike Evans and DeAndre Hopkins this week.
Yeah, I have Evans also. That Titans defense gives up 25 fantasy points a game to wide receivers. So he's kind of established himself as the guy that Baker looks towards more than Godwin. So, yep, I'm with you on Evans.
Boom shakalaka!
Let's go. You got him too?
yeah, that's three boom shakalakas,
Oh,
3 trifectas
wow.
for the day.
That's probably our most so far since we got the drop.
Yeah, what is it? Madison, Evans, and who is the other? Not Algier.
No.
Baker?
Baker.
Yeah, I think of Baker. Yeah.
Baker.
So Evans and Baker for sure. Yeah, we love Evans and Baker combo this week. So if you got them, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, they're going to bake up a nice game here. So we're all over it.
All right, I love it. All right, well, moving on to tight ends. This is a segment for Shane O'Mac and I. Kulz does not take part in the red light tight ends this week. But Shane, what do you got? Who is your red light tight end of the week?
It is Mr. David Njoku against the Ravens, coming off of great game, obviously. But, man, Ravens defense, this is the other one I was just astonished about. So, per game, they allow 3 receptions for just 15 yards to tight ends this year.
Really?
Which is just nuts. So, he is a hard sit. You could find a lot of different streaming options probably that I would plug in front of Njoku this week.
Yeah, I love that. And he is my red light tight end as well. So for everything you just said, again, basic fade on all the Cleveland Browns this week, and Njoku is no exception. So I am right on board with you. That is a half shakalaka drop, me and Shane. So all right. So what about green light tight ends, Kulz? Since you didn't take part in the last segment, who do you like this week? I'm guessing you have a large list of a green light tight ends as per usual.
The rookie tight ends.
Yeah. You know what? Let's kick it over to Shane O'Mac.
I love it. Shane, what do you got?
I'm going with the guy we don't speak of his name on this show at the tight end position. Of course, it's Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, touchdown machine. Taysom Hill.
Check that. He has been tight end 6, 3, and 6 the last 4 weeks.
Let's go.
I don't care how he's doing it. Like, we were applauding Evan Ingram early in the year because of his consistency of finishes each week. I mean, now you're getting that with Hill. I don't think this is going away. I think they're going to be putting him in more as rushing than Jamal Williams in situations, and he's going to stay in this role. He's a plug-and-play start the rest of the year for me.
Yeah, I love that. I couldn't love that even more. I do have him on my green light list as well. So Shane, we are identical with our tight end love hate this week, and Taysom Hill for all the reasons you just said. I would love him in my lineup, but I also have Jake Ferguson as well. As we've seen with this Cowboys offense, Ferguson is a massive piece. He's the security blanket for Dak Prescott, and I like Jake Ferguson pretty much the rest of the way this season. So. I like those two guys. Kulz, what do you got?
Yeah, I have Sammy Game Time, Laporta, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Cole Kmet, and Hayden Hurst in the Thursday night game. And Cade Otton keeping things rolling there. I think he's obviously Baker likes him and he trusts his hands, and that momentum is going to continue to roll. So those are my 6 tight ends to green light this week.
I thought for sure you were going to say Luke Musgrave, and we could have just done a sweep, like rookie tight end sweep week.
That's funny.
I have Love on my red light list. I'm not gonna play with fire there. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Let's just full fade that entire. I not only do I have Jordan Love as red light, I have the entire Packers wide receiving core as a red light. So
we're gonna call Kul's red light tight end of the week is Luke Musgrave.
No, I would never red light a tight end. That's
okay. All right, but it is Luke Musgrave, so we'll see.
You know what? I'm gonna red light Taysom Hill.
No,
because he is not a tight end. He is a quarterback.
Hey, he caught a touchdown last week. He's
Taysom Hill. No, I love Taysom.
That's
Hill.
funny.
I'm not gonna
That's
allow
funny.
You guys to force me into hating him.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I think that about does it for our red light, green light. Week 10. It's been a great episode. I appreciate you guys coming in with some good stuff. And I wish the roadies out there good luck in their week 10. Join us Thursday night football, because this episode will be premiered on Thursday anyway. So join us tonight for Thursday night football. The Panthers and the Bears take on, and you're probably not going to want to watch that game. So come hang out with us while we all watch it together and shoot the shit while we talk week 10 matchups. Shane, if you're not busy and you want to hang out with us talking matchups, you're more than welcome to. The invitation is always extended. We do talk a lot about our weekly pick'em, which Shane is in the lead by quite a bit from last week. So he is doing quite well. I think you might almost be in the top 10.
Let's go. All right.
Shane is 2 picks ahead of me. He is number 13.
13. Okay, so almost top 10.
Almost. All right.
I am still in the back there somewhere. I think it might be 17,
You're
18,
4
19.
behind me, 6 behind Shane O'Mac.
Shit. Shane, that last week was brutal for me. That was a brutal week. That was terrible. Hopefully this week, the exact opposite. I'll be gaining some games on you guys. But either way, it's been fun. We appreciate everybody out there watching, listening. We are live, or we will be live tonight at youtube.com/sportsethos. We'll be tweeting out the link, promoting it as much as possible. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter promo code ROADIES40 at checkout for 40% off. We appreciate you guys, all the roadies out there, and everybody buckle the fuck up, huh?